Hi guys. Well, here we are, another day, another influencer exposed for racist tweets. This time we're talking about Brooke Schofield. She has millions of followers on TikTok. She does a podcast with Tana Mongeau, and I don't follow her. Don't really know a whole lot about her, but she is being talked about because of these tweets that have resurfaced from, I believe she was in between the ages of 15 and 19, something like that. I didn't make an outline for this video. I really want to just talk to y'all from the heart. Number one, yes, she has apologized. It's not my apology to accept, so I won't really be going into detail about how I feel about her apology because it's not mine.
Alright, you guys, I have had a lot to say about accountability lately and how important it is and how far it can go, and I feel like I'm not taking my own advice. Obviously, by now you guys have seen the tweets that are circulating around. They unfortunately are not fake. Those are real tweets, like real things that I said. First of all, I want to acknowledge that I feel the same way about them that you do. I think they're so disturbing, they're wrong, they're horrible, and they're disgusting. Of course, I do appreciate the people who are coming to bat for me and like saying like, you know, it was so long ago and like she's grown and stuff, but like it doesn't fucking matter. Like it literally does not matter. They are horrible. I want to talk about particularly the Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman situation. Try not to be so emotional because I don't want it to seem like it's like a sympathy thing at all. I also don't want to blame anybody else at all, and so I'm trying like to be really careful about that. I just want to explain like and get some context into like my mindset at the time, because I have seen like some comments today that are like, well, no shit, she's racist, like white nepo baby, like a little like spoiled brat, like, and that was not my situation. And my parents were addicts, so I was adopted by my grandparents when I was like 10, and I grew up with them from that point on. And as is true for a lot of grandparents, they're a little bit less progressive than a lot of us are now. And my grandma has dementia, so it was really just like me and my grandpa, and he is a very, very right-wing conservative man, okay? It was like my household was literally just Fox News all the time, Rush Limbaugh, like if you guys know who that is, like playing literally all day long through the house, and that was just like the only thing ever that I had been exposed to. A lot of you guys have also seen my mom's Twitter because she was responding back and forth about the Trayvon Martin situation, and I just should have known better. I know her, and I should have known that she is not somebody that I take any sort of political insight from at all. Again, sometimes you like have these people that you like put on a pedestal and you think everybody older than you is smarter than you and knows everything, and they do not. Truthfully, it took me a really long time. Like, I know some of the tweets I was like 18 and people are like, yeah, like she was old enough to know better. And like, honest to God, you guys, it wasn't until like even after college that I really started to like shift my way of thinking. And there are people in my life who I might have looked up to forever who I do not agree with. And I think it's amazing now that people are like learning earlier on about politics and like forming their own opinions outside of like what their parents think or what they're hearing or whatever it is. But that just wasn't the case for me. Whatever I heard, I passed on. I'm sorry, very, very sorry to anybody who is hurt by the tweets, because obviously they are very hurtful. Like a lot of it is just like what, like why would I even say that? And I apologize for not having said something sooner. I just felt like I was getting these messages from people who like were hurt by them, and I felt like by bringing more attention to it, I was just going to be hurting more people, and that was not the right mindset. I should have said something sooner, and I would never let something go this far again. Like, I love you all so much, and obviously I know that there are some people who are just like not going to care for me anymore, and like I understand that. I need you to know that like is not how I think, that is not what I believe, and I am 27 years old now. I've had so much time to like learn and grow and like formulate my own opinions, and they are nothing like they were when I was 17, 18 years old.
She has talked about her past before. In a really old episode of Canceled, her and Tana were talking about tweets specifically, and she had said that things she had said 7 or so years ago are just not okay.
I've definitely just like tweeted awful things when I wasn't a happier, good person with a good sense of humor.
When I would like
And I know I've
7
grown
years
from
ago,
that.
even like I do not know that girl. I don't want to know what was said
100%.
on, you know what I mean? Like it's crazy how much can change. Like especially like even living in LA, I feel like I learned so much was like about like what you can and cannot say
100%.
that I did not know in Arizona. Oh God.
So many of these influencers that are at the top, they have millions of followers. They're, making more money than anyone else on social media. They're getting millions of views. They have multiple streams of revenue. Why is it that these influencers have things like this that are exposed, and automatically people want to come with the excuse of that was so long ago? That person was insert age here when he or she was speaking like this. I am so tired of the this was so long ago argument. And while I realize that people are a product of their environment, and when you're younger you might not understand kind of what you're being told, so on and so forth, I can tell y'all that by the time I was 15, I understood basic empathy. And I understood kindness and compassion and having empathy for people that are not like you. You might not even know these people. You can still have empathy and kindness for them. One of the tweets that is circulating has to do with Trayvon Martin. Now, I don't know in what world or what dimension of crazy you have to be to defend a 17-year-old child that was unalived. There is no defending that whatsoever. Now, am I surprised that Brooke and Tana are the two that decide to come together and do this podcast? Not really. Because I do think to a certain degree that birds of a feather flock together, and people that have no morals tend to gravitate towards one another. But I've just about had it with influencers that have millions of followers, are exposed for being racist, being inappropriate with children, scamming their followers, lying, doing all of this kind of stuff. And they are called out for a short period of time, and then it's like everything moves on. Oh, that was last week's news. I used to get a fair amount of kickback for calling out Colleen Ballinger, and I had called her out long before everything happened last summer, and I have continued to call her out up until my last video was a couple weeks ago on her. I think as an internet society, we need to do a better job in not allowing people to forget. And I consider myself to be part of that society, and I feel like I try to do my best to keep things in the forefront. Things that I know about and I'm aware of, and I have stuff that I want to say about it, I try to not say, okay, well, this is the thing now, but once it passes by and it's not getting views anymore, then I'm going to move on too, because everyone else has moved on. I try to uphold my end of the agreement. I think everybody else should also hopefully keep the conversation going. When these influencers are being platformed by really big brands, or being highlighted on other platforms by companies or fellow creators, I hope that people never forget who these people are at their core. Because as I said in the beginning of the video, I have about had it with they were 17, they were 16, they were 19, this happened 5 years ago, this happened 8 years ago, this happened 7, I have just had it with look at all of these terrible things, and being met with, oh, well, that was 7 years ago. They were X number, unless we're literally talking about like a 7-year-old child, I don't think that because you're 16 and you're a minor in the eyes of the law, I don't think that that means that you should not know that saying things like this is wrong. The last thing I want to say is that she has put out a video and then come out with a second video, and I'll insert them for context. But she said that she didn't like the first video, but the first video is still up. So you come out with another video, you say you didn't like that, but that one is still up. It's very confusing for people as to, okay, if I don't like a video and I don't stand by what I said at all, then I'm going to remove the video. Now, if it's like one thing that was misspoken or whatever, then yeah, provide an update. But it's very confusing.
You guys, I want to talk about my last video, okay? Because I am listening to everybody, and obviously I am reflecting and looking back on it, and I do agree with everyone that I missed the mark. I obviously saw everything that was going on, and I saw how hurt everybody was by it, so I felt like I just had to put something out as soon as I physically could so that nobody thought I was ignoring the situation or didn't realize how important it was. But as a result of that, I put out this very emotional, scrambled video where I essentially made none of the points that I should have been making. First and obviously most important thing is that I'm so sorry, specifically to Black people and the other people of color who were offended by my tweets, okay? Because obviously I'm seeing a lot of positivity in the comments and people saying that they forgive me, and it's all white people. And that's how I know I did not address this properly at all. So I want to be clear that this is directed specifically to Black people and other people of color, and I'm not seeking white people's understanding or forgiveness or approval or whatever it is. Now, sorry is not enough, in my opinion, for the way that I was tweeting and the things that I was saying online at that time. And I know that there's no apology beyond reparations that can mend that wound. I don't care if I was a teenager, I was old enough to know better, and not only did I choose to say those things, I chose to say those things on a public platform, and I am very, very ashamed of it. Especially sorry to those who were affected in real time, because keep in mind, I had friends and family who were following me at that time and would have been hurt by those tweets, and I feel sick over that. The tweets were racist, okay? There's no getting around that. They cannot be dismissed as jokes or political opinions or anything else. It was racism. In my last video, I put all this emphasis on my family thinking it was gonna provide context, but instead it just made it look like I was pointing fingers and placing blame, and that was exactly the opposite of what I should have been doing. The fact of the matter is nobody forced me to tweet those things. I tweeted those things on my own, and the blame is on me. A conscious choice to not learn about politics until I was a young adult. But that did not stop me from tweeting political opinions. I wanted to appear that I knew more than I did and that I was educated, and instead I was spreading harmful, very, very harmful misinformation. I had all the educational resources available to me to learn what was right, and I chose not to. However, the murder of Trayvon Martin has nothing to do with politics, okay? The murder of Trayvon Martin was a hate crime. It was horrible, and he did not deserve it, and no Black person deserves it. When it happened, I repeated disgusting misinformation on a public platform, and I'm genuinely so disturbed by that. I truly cannot believe it. It makes me sick, truly sick to think about it now. Now, I mentioned in my last video how I didn't really open my eyes until after college, but I want to make it clear that when I say that, I'm referring to hate crimes in particular. It wasn't until after college that I realized how prevalent police brutality is and how common hate crimes are. It's constantly happening. I think a lot of people felt this way, but the murder of George Floyd shifted my mindset completely, okay? Because that's when I started to really research and learn what it was like and what it looked like to be anti-racist. I started to seek out my own resources and learn what reparations looked like and learn what I could do as a white person in situations like these. And I'm really, truly ashamed that it took me that long. I talked in my last video about how I grew up in a Republican household. And I didn't say that because I think all Republicans are racist, but I just wanted you to know that those are the only conversations that I had been exposed to. But then I went off to college, okay? And I went to college in Arizona, which is still a red state, but Arizona is also a state with a lot of diversity. And I was a public health major, where so many elements have to do with race and racial inequality. I learned so much during that time, you guys. It was actually really eye-opening for me because I had a lot of thoughts my entire life that completely shifted once I started to learn like things from other people's perspectives. So much of what I previously had believed to be true changed, and I started paying attention to things that I hadn't before. Again, I acknowledge that I was an adult at this time, and I had all the resources in the world available to me to educate myself prior to college, and I chose not to, and for that I am sorry. Really, really wish that I had. I wrote my college thesis on racial disparities, so how things like socioeconomic standing, health, housing, income, and so many other things can be affected by your race. I didn't stop learning there, and I don't plan to stop learning about these issues ever. I truly mean that, and I know a lot of you aren't going to believe me, and I understand that, but I do care about these issues. But I don't want this conversation to be over, honestly. I'm not posting this video to make everything go away. I don't want to try to get myself uncanceled, but I know there are a lot of people like me who are still working to unlearn the inherent racism that we possess still. While I know that I've changed, I also know that there is a lot of work to be done, okay? There is a lot that I could still do that I have not done yet. I promise you that I will. I have been and will continue to look into reparation initiatives to share with you guys, as well as figure out ways that we can give Black creators more visibility, because we know that's a major problem in this space. I want to do everything that I can to show you that I am not the person that I was in 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015. I am not. I understand that there are people who are never going to forgive me, and I do not fault you for that at all. At all. But I truly am so sorry. I am sorry for the words that I said. I am sorry for my racist past. I am sorry for the people that I hurt. And I want to do everything I can to earn back your trust, because it really is very important to me.
I don't quite understand where people that were not impacted by the things that she said are running in her comments and saying, "Oh my God, we forgive you. You've grown so much." It is not for you to accept. It is not for you. I just hate to look at the top influencers and be able to look at so many of them and know that this is who they are. And they've been exposed for it, and they continue to have millions of followers. Look at James Charles, Jeffree Star, Tana Mongeau, Jake and Logan Paul, like all of these people. Mr. Beast, Colleen Ballinger, hello, you know. They're allowed to be vile, and the internet will talk about it and then move on. Either way, another day, another, catastrophe, but I wanted to take a few minutes and just discuss it. So yeah, have y'all heard about this? Are you following it? How do you feel about it? I obviously don't want to, go back to the accepting apologies that are not yours to accept, but how do you feel about all of these huge influencers being as bad as they are? I think it's embarrassing, but as always, I'm here to talk about it. So that's going to be it for today. If you like the video, please leave a like and a comment, and if you'd like to see more from me in the future, please subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.